And so when I was like 9 or 10 years old, I remember you said, all right, you guys, I'm giving you all the chance to make $100 in 1 week. And we're like, in 7 days. And then we're all stressing out. And you're like, but if you do it, I will match it and give you $200. And I was like, $200? I'm going to be rich.
Hello everyone, we are Greg and Jackie Francis, and welcome to High Performance Parenting, where our passionate goal is to encourage you to raise champion children in a crazy world. Every week we will bring you multiple episodes from our extensive experience of raising our six happy, healthy, successful, godly kids who are confidently equipped to win big in life.
We deeply believe that any parent who is provided with the right knowledge and continuous support can raise amazing kids. And when they do, all of our futures get better. If raising up future generations of absolute champions matters to you as much as it does to us, here's how you can contribute. Like and share this podcast with everyone you know. And together, let's embrace this journey of raising champion kids in a crazy world. Okay, Crissy, we're back. It's part 2. And this one I really want to focus a little bit more on the journey because I actually have people ask me quite a bit now that they see you being a successful entrepreneur, which, by the way, for people that don't know, you just turned 15.
Just turned 15, right? Yeah.
And so you've been kind of doing entrepreneurial stuff for, I don't know, since what, 11?
Yeah.
Probably, something like that.
That's when we did the $2,000 goal.
Okay. And so I get asked a lot. So was Crissy always just a natural entrepreneur? Was she always just a natural one to go for? And I say, kind of. You were always interested in what I was doing or Mom was doing in business.
Right.
You're always interested enough to ask some questions, but also you're still little. You're still just being a kid. And, if anybody knows us, we really protect adolescents in our household. Mm-hmm. We feel like there's a big old world out there you're all going to be facing soon enough. But, while you're in an age when you're growing and developing and maturing, we have a pretty high level of protection around your atmosphere. So meaning that you get to be a kid in your kid's season instead of having to grow up and grow past it like a lot of people do, that come from maybe a family that is broken or unique situations or whatever. And so we let you be a kid, but at the same time you had an interest. I think all the kids have an interest, but everybody kind of pursues it a little bit different. And so people ask, so how did Crissy get to become the mature level of entrepreneur she is at 15? And, I'd like to hear your perspective on it because I don't even know if you fully even remember it all, but let's just talk about it. So where do you remember it starting?
So all I remember is when I was really little, and you guys would be holding meetings for whatever business you were doing at the time, right? And you were like, okay, you guys are all going to say like a 2-minute scripture, or you guys are gonna talk about what you're learning this week or whatever. And I would always be so stinking nervous that I knew that one day I'm gonna become so good at this that I'm not gonna be this nervous every time I get on stage, right? Not that has fully gone away, but every time I did it, I wanted to do my very best, right? And I was like, I really feel like I know how to communicate to people, and not like I could put it into words at the time, right?
Yeah.
But I really, really loved watching how the crowd looked at me. It was kind of like, wow, how can you do that at 9, 10 years old, right? And so I was like, I really feel like...
So for instance, just for context, so let's say that with one of our endeavors, we were doing a business conference, right? And maybe it's 200-300 people, something like that, in a room. And it can be a little intimidating to be the person in front of the room. First of all, you saw us doing it, but then we would pull you up and we would prepare you guys.
Yeah.
Right. Because we'd have from the twins all the way down to Ellie, 5-year difference there. And we would say, okay, we're going to have you guys share, but here's what we'd like to share on. And then we would have you practice at home, and we would do it multiple times. And because our goal was to not only have you experience what it's like to be in front of a crowd, because, they say it's like the greatest fear of the average person is public speaking. Really what it is the fear of what other people think when they're public speaking. Yeah. Right. But it's kind of funny. It's even a fear greater than death.
Oh my gosh.
Pretty wild. But I know that I grew up with it. I knew that, I know Mom grew up with it. And so I didn't overcome it until my late 20s. So Mom and I were like, we're going to get our kids in front of people because there's no way really to overcome it other than to do it.
And to do it, yeah.
but then also to help prepare them so they're positioned so they can do it well. And that way they can see themselves as being able to do this in the future. Because quite frankly, to lead anything, you're going to have to be able to communicate to people and in front of people.
Right. Yeah.
So we would take the time to make sure that we would build this into almost every conference we had.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, it was very beneficial for us too, because people, when you guys are our greatest sales pitch, because for people believing in us and us having credibility is when they see you guys and they're impressed, they're like, wow, this family,
Yeah.
and it's huge, and people listen to us better because of that. I tell everybody, you want to know, you want to know like the heartbeat of a couple, stick a thermometer in their kid's mouth.
Yeah.
Right? Have
Totally.
a conversation with their kids, because you can tell a lot. I'm just a big believer that if you can't lead at home, then you really can't lead that well elsewhere. You might
Right.
look like you are, but you've just kind of learned some corporate level type of strategies, but not real leadership.
Right. Yeah.
And so anyway, so that was part of the journey. So first you were there, and then you would prepare and you would go up there and do it. And then you were saying that you'd also notice how people would respond.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Yeah, because normally I'm the middle child, right? So whether we started with the oldest or the youngest,
Yeah.
I was always right in the middle, right?
It's true.
So like I was always the third person to go up. And I was watching as like, let's say we started with Abby, right?
Yeah.
And she would do her thing, and then she'd pass the microphone, everyone like cheer, right? And then Bella would do her thing, and then I kind of noticed the difference between what them two did, right? And I was like, okay, how can I make this even better, right? So then I would do my thing, and then
you're like 9 or something.
Yeah,
at the time,
exactly.
Maybe 8.
and I always wanted to do everything better than my siblings, right? So then I would like watch how they responded to certain things, right? And then do my whole thing. We'd pass it all the way down. And I remember it just being like the most rewarding thing, right? Like getting up there, being prepared, being nervous, and doing it anyway. And every time I did it well was like the most fulfilling feeling that I could feel, even at like 9 or 10 years old, right? And so I kind of knew from that point that this is what I'm going to do, right? And so I was always so locked in whenever we were sitting in the crowd even and watching you guys do the conferences and things like that. I was always so locked in. I was like, I want to be part of this, right? So I feel like it mostly started there. And
I do remember that. I remember after even events, the conversations we would have would revolve around, you would not only mention to me things like, yeah, that talk was good. You really paid almost more attention to how we were giving the talks, and you noticed things in the atmosphere that made a difference. And which just, again, goes to show that a desire was being unlocked.
Right.
And then you started becoming a student of how to be able to do that, which is really cool. Here's a quick question that I think the audience would probably need to hear. Did we ever give you guys when we gave you an opportunity to speak at a conference or in front of people in any level, did we ever give you an opportunity to say no? Like because you're nervous, like you just get to sit out.
Absolutely not. There wasn't really that many options to say no because of how you guys parent us, right? And it's definitely one of the best things that you guys could have done for us, right? But like,
there's parents out there that probably think, oh gosh, I would hate to push my daughter or my son into a position where they're nervous. And,
right.
geez, what if they failed? Then gosh, it could be embarrassing. And it not only looked bad for them, it looked bad for me. And I would feel like I'm a horrible parent. And then they could be mad at me, right?
Right. And I feel like it's so important because yes, we're nervous, and yes, I might be angry that I had to do this talk, right? Because I'm like, now I have to prepare. And what if I do everything wrong? And what if I look bad, right? And that's the first thoughts that will come to my mind. But you guys never gave us an option to say no.
That's right.
So that every single time we did it, we gained more confidence. And even though like there might be a fear of your kids being mad at you, right? I was never mad specifically at you guys, right? I feel like I always knew deep down it was for my own good, right? Because I knew you guys would never put me in a position that would.
And we would communicate that with you guys. We would communicate that. Listen, there isn't like there isn't a you can or can't do this here. This is training. This is us discipling you. That's what this is, right? And so we're going to put you in positions, and being afraid is okay. And not saying everything perfect is going to be fine.
Yeah.
The most important part of this exercise is that you go up and you do it.
And you do it, yeah.
You go up and you do it. And I would explain to you guys, no one's going to remember what you said in 3 days.
Yeah.
They're just going to remember that you did it. And so us as parents, because we love you so much, there is no opportunity to say no, right? You will recognize down the road that we're doing this strategically in order to help you have confidence above everyone else around you. But we would take time to have these conversations the best you can with an 8-year-old and a 7-year-old. But we never just like threw you out there and made, and just said, hope it works out. There was so much preparation around it. So you understood why you're doing it, et cetera. So
yeah. A lot of conversations. As you're saying that, I'm like going back to the lake house, right? Sitting on the couch and you guys talking to us about this, or in the car or in the hotel before the conference or whatever. Like I remember you guys preparing us with this. And even though we might not have fully understood, we knew how we felt and we knew your guys' intentions, and it really made it really clear to us. So I feel like that was really important.
Yeah, and I felt from all of you guys that all the extra preparation we've done in the positions we've challenged you to be in, whether it's always making sure you're shaking a person's hand, always making sure that you're introducing yourself, or and how much we would prepare you for that, and then have you do it anytime somebody walked in and you'd be nervous or distracted or whatever, we'd still make you do it.
Right.
Like I always heard from you guys that, thanks for doing that.
Right.
Because you get a few years older and now all you hear from people is like, gosh, you guys are the best kids. Gosh, you guys are special. Gosh, see, and to me, that's huge because now you're hearing what we see all the time from other people. But it all started back with the preparation, And so anyways, okay, what after that? After being able to be on stages and stuff like that, how else did your entrepreneurial journey start?
Well, I feel like that part was a lot of the communication part that I gained more confidence in. But I feel like next we did these little challenges, right? And we all became very money motivated when we turned like 10, 11 years old. And so when I was like 9 or 10 years old, I remember you said, all right, you guys, I'm giving you all the chance to make $100 in 1 week. And we're like, in 7 days. And then we're all stressing out. And you're like, but if you do it, I will match it and give you $200. And I was like, $200? I'm gonna be rich. And
Totally.
Because I'm like 9, right?
Yeah.
And then, so all the kids are doing, we're like, okay, we're gonna figure this out. We're gonna go rake leaves for grandma and grandpa. We're gonna go clean stuff in the house, right?
I remember when we first brought that out, and I remember we were, I think if I do remember, I think we were having a team meeting. Yeah, we were at the lake house. We were sitting like we would do around. We turned our ping pong table into a dinner table because our family's so big, and we'd have our team meeting. We'd bring some food in, and we're all just having our discussion part of the team meeting. And then you guys were kind of like, well, so how do you make $100?
Yeah.
And the conversation was so good. And I said, well, the fastest path is what are things that people need done that they don't want to do. I said, if you will do those things, you will get paid.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm thinking, but what if I don't want to do them too? And I'm like, but what if I don't want to?
Yeah.
Like,
you won't want to.
Exactly. Like, what if I don't want to scrub the bathroom? Mm-hmm. Then you're like, well, that's all part of it, right? Because being successful, those habits aren't always what you're going to want to do.
Yeah.
And so you built that into us young. And I remember it was a lot of work, right? We were like, I don't know, scrubbing baseboards around the house, raking leaves, and we were doing all these little chores that had to get done. And mom would be like, well, I have a list of chores. You guys we can distribute them. And we were like, okay, let's do it, right? And so we all completed the goal. I remember that. And
well, just to be clear, so mom and I talked about this on the side before we did this, and we said, when they're first starting, we're going to allow them to convince us. We'll give them a list of things that we do need done around the house, and we don't mind giving them some money for these things because they're like the extra deep cleaning kind of things, or the things that would just kind of sit there and they're not like a normal chore. And I said, so we'll let them, for either a round or two of making money, be able to actually convince us. They got to put on their salesperson hat to convince us. I would even train you guys to negotiate for prices. Remember,
Yeah.
Like go for no, ask for more. If it's $20 to do the baseboards, don't be afraid to say, hey, listen, I've been doing them. Can I show you this first room so you can see the quality of my work? You probably didn't expect it to be this high quality. I'm going to take extra time and I'll do the rest of the house, but it's probably going to take me twice as long, but it's going to be better than you expected. Would you be willing to pay me 40 instead of 20?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I would kind of, prep you guys to start learning how to negotiate through this process. And you guys grabbed a hold of it quick.
Yeah.
And you would. And I would have to tell you, don't get mad if we say no, because
Yeah.
yeah. you took it and kept going with it, which was super fun. So.
I remember one thing I did was we had just gotten a new paint job on the house, and there was paint on the windows. And you're like, okay, I'm going to get you a razor. And if you want to, I'm going to have you scrape all the paint off the windowsills. And we had a lot of windows in that house.
Oh, yeah.
The whole
house was windows.
Yeah.
Because it was all about the view of the lake, right?
Exactly. But on both sides. It was like, oh gosh, there's a lot of windows. And I remember doing it all. We didn't even discuss payment beforehand, but I knew, I was like, okay, if I do a really good job, he's going to pay me a lot of money. And so I was doing it, and I did it. You know,
There's a life lesson right there. It isn't, oh, I need this much money before I start. It's like, no, I'll prove that I'm so good at this that you'll be forced to pay me a lot. Mm-hmm.
Right. Because I was like, well, I know he doesn't want to do this, and I don't want to, but I'm going to do it. And I know that when I do it well, the house is going to look that much better, right? Mm-hmm. And so I did it. And I remember at the end of it, you're like, so how much do you think you should get paid? Mm-hmm. And I remember my first thought was like, that's really selfish, asking him for a lot of money, right? And then you're like, no, it's okay to negotiate. Tell me what you think you should get paid. You're the one who did the work. And I said some number, and I don't really remember exactly what you gave me. It was like, I don't know, like $40 or $45. And I said originally like $25. That's good enough, right? And you're like, well, how about $45? And I was like, what? You just told me you could pay me more money. You're like, you did a really good job, and I want to reward you. Yeah. And I feel like that was one of the biggest lessons, was that if I do a really good job, I'm going to get rewarded. And if I do a really terrible job and I'm really lazy about it, then you're not going to get anything. Mm-hmm. It's almost like the parable of the talents, right?
Yeah.
And so because I did such a good job, you almost doubled it, right? Mm-hmm. And if I hadn't done a good job, it would have been taken away, right? So I feel like that was a really important lesson we learned.
Super good. Yeah. I mean, and it'll lend into other things. You know, like right now, we'll get into what the Superkids program is here in a minute. But even with like coaching, you know, what you learn by coaching people is you get your confidence up in how much you can actually impact their lives. And you see tangible results, and you realize that the value is worth it. Mm-hmm. So then you start not being afraid of asking for $1,000 an hour or $1,500 an hour or $2,000 an hour, because you know the value to them is so much more than they're paying for.
They're paying,
right?
yeah.
And that's such a huge lesson. So, okay, well, we got to do one more episode. Hey, everyone. Thanks for listening, and thanks for your love and support. We hope that today's episode added tremendous value to you and your family. It would mean so much to us if you would partner with us on our mission of helping parents around the globe raise champion children in this crazy world.
To do so, simply take a moment to like and share this podcast with everyone in your network. See you next time.